What if I told you the secret to a happy life isn't money, isn't fame, and it's definitely not success as we usually define it? What if the answer was something we all have access to, but often ignore? Welcome to the world's longest-running scientific study on happiness. And welcome to The Good Life. All right, let's get into it. The Good Life, written by Dr. Robert Waldinger and Dr. Marc Schulz, is not just another self-help book with catchy phrases or motivational fluff. This book is the living, breathing product of the Harvard Study of Adult Development, a research project that started way back in 1938 and is still going strong over 80 years later. And yes, that makes it the longest scientific study of happiness ever conducted. It tracked the lives of over 700 individuals, some from Harvard's elite, others from Boston's poorest neighborhoods, and now spans over 1,300 descendants of the original participants: presidents, alcoholics, teachers, factory workers, CEOs, war veterans, every walk of life. So the obvious question is, what did they find? What really makes a life fulfilling? Let me say this loud and clear. It's not money, not power, not success. It's relationships. Deep, meaningful human connections. Again and again, the study revealed the same truth: the people who were the happiest and healthiest as they aged were those who were more socially connected. Not just socially active, not just surrounded by people, but people who had warm, trustworthy, emotionally rich relationships. Okay, let's break this down. Dr. Waldinger, who's now the fourth director of the study, opens with a compelling story. He recalls a moment when a young man, high-powered executive, walked into his office and asked, "So what's the formula? What's the secret to happiness?" "I've made my money. I've done what I was supposed to do. Why don't I feel fulfilled?" And Waldinger's answer was both simple and devastating. When was the last time you had a real conversation, like a real, honest moment, with someone you cared about? The man stared. Silence. He couldn't remember. Now, think about that. How many of us are chasing achievements and ticking off milestones, but we can't recall the last time we sat down and really connected with someone? That's where the good life hits you hard. Because it's not just saying connection matters. It proves it with 80 years of data. Here's an example. One of the original participants, who started in the study as a teenager from a rough Boston neighborhood, had every reason to live a short, difficult life. Abusive household, no money, terrible schools. But he ended up living well into his 90s. Why? Because he built strong, loyal friendships. He had a small circle, maybe 4 or 5 people, but they were deeply connected. When he went through a divorce, his friends showed up. When he had surgery, they stayed with him in the hospital. When he was broke, they lent him money. Those relationships literally extended his life. And this wasn't an outlier. Over and over, the study found that people who maintained warm relationships had lower rates of depression, better memory in old age, stronger immune systems, and, incredibly, lived longer. Now, here's where the book gets personal. Dr. Waldinger doesn't just talk as a researcher. He talks as a man in the middle of his own life. He shares how he, too, struggled to prioritize connection. Busy schedules, emails, deadlines, all the noise, and how he had to intentionally relearn the skill of being present, of calling friends, of really listening. One story that stuck with me is about a man named John, another study participant. He built a business from scratch, became a millionaire. Everyone saw him as a success. But at age 60, he said this: "I feel like I climbed the wrong mountain." He had no close relationships, no one to celebrate with, no one to mourn with, no one to call when he got scared. And he knew that was the price of chasing work over people. It was too late for him to go back and raise his kids differently, but not too late to change the next 20 years. He started volunteering, joined a local community group, eventually reconnected with his adult son. That didn't happen overnight, but by the time he was 75, he told the researchers, "This is the happiest I've ever been." Now let's talk about you. Because this book isn't just about fascinating case studies. It's a mirror. It asks you the uncomfortable questions. Who do you turn to when things get hard? Who really knows what's going on in your life? Are you showing up for others not just when it's convenient, but when it counts? The Good Life also pushes back on the myth of self-reliance. We love to tell ourselves we don't need anyone. That independence equals strength, but the science says otherwise. Humans are wired for connection. When babies are born, the very first thing they seek is eye contact. It's not accidental, it's biology. Even in adulthood, loneliness triggers the same part of the brain as physical pain. One woman in the study described it as being hungry for touch, for words, for someone to just see me. That line gave me chills. We all want to be seen, to be known, to be loved. And that's what makes this book not just important, but urgent. In a world where we scroll more than we speak, where group chats replace phone calls, where I'm fine has become a universal lie, we need the good life more than ever. Here's a challenge the authors give, and I want you to try it. Think of one person you care about but haven't talked to in a while. Call them. Not text, not DM. Call. Just say, "Hey, I've been thinking about you." That one sentence could be the spark that rebuilds a connection. And that connection could literally extend your life. Another stunning insight from the study is that it's never too late. One man started building friendships in his 80s. He joined a poetry group at his local library. The researchers thought it was cute, but wouldn't matter much. Guess what? By 90, he had a vibrant social life, felt happier, felt sharper. He even started dating again. That's the thing. You're never too old, too damaged, or too late to build a good life. The book also dives deep into types of relationships. It's not about having a huge friend group. It's about quality. You could have 3 amazing people in your life and be far happier than someone with 1,000 Instagram followers. Waldinger and Schulz also talk about social fitness. Just like physical health, relationships require effort. They talk about checking in regularly like you do with your workout routine. Are you nurturing your friendships? Are you making time? Are you reaching out? Because neglect leads to weakness, and connection needs exercise. Let's pause here. Think about your week. How many meaningful conversations did you have? How many times did you listen not just to respond, but to understand? This book made me realize I was coasting. Too busy for check-ins, too tired for deep talks. But I've started changing that. Even small efforts make a difference. Sending a voice message, asking real questions, being honest when someone asks how I'm doing. It's uncomfortable at first, but it's real. And real is where the good life begins. So let's wrap this up. The good life isn't a to-do list. It's a mindset, a recalibration. It reminds us that the people in our lives are the point, not the background, not the bonus. They are the meaning. If you've ever wondered what happiness looks like, this book gives you the clearest, most data-backed, most human answer we've ever had. It looks like connection. It sounds like laughter with a friend. It feels like being known and knowing someone back. So here's my ask. If this resonated with you, share it. Send this video to someone you care about. Comment below. What's one relationship you want to strengthen this year? And don't forget to subscribe, because we've got more life-changing book reviews coming your way. But for now, go call that person, because your good life starts there. One sentence, one call, one connection at a time.